Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Heelcast. I am Heelcast member Mike Larkin, and joining me today for another edition of the Heelcast is my girl, mom of Kiari Warrior Steven, my good friend Miss Crystal Spice. Crystal, it is a pleasure to have you on the Heelcast. How are you?
I am doing good, and it's always a pleasure, Michael.
Oh, thank you. Guys, if you want to go to StephenMikeShow.com and listen to some of my old On the Mic But Mics with Crystal and pop culture shows as well, it's always a blast having you on. You have a great son in Steven, who's been to many Impact events, which you guys have been as well. Obviously, the member one with Joe Hendry and Tyson Dukes. It's always great to just get in contact with you and always have fun and shoot the breeze about wrestling and whatever with you.
It is great to be on the show, and like I said, Steven has been to many, as you said, many wrestling shows with Impact, and he's had some pretty great moments, from dressing up as Mini Scott D'Amore and his little brother dressing up as Mini Don Callis, to the Joe Hendry thing, as you mentioned, to the Kiari fundraiser that Impact put together with him. It is pretty amazing to see him let loose at the different events.
Agreed. And I got to say, with these times, and this will actually tie into what we're going to talk about here, but with what's going on with the coronavirus, COVID-19, the whole nine, I got to say, as far as professional wrestling goes, whether it be Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, with them taping WrestleMania at the Performance Center, and we're going to get the Impact and all this here in a second. But I got to say, from a professional wrestling standpoint, it's great to see them trying to put out content, put everything in the can for the people to enjoy, trying to stay, as I like to say, positively proactive and whatever, whether it be wrestling, whatever endeavor in life, just, doing whatever you can inside your house, being quarantined, what have you. I always say, it's really got to be positively proactive during these times. And it's great to see professional wrestling putting out the content.
It is really great to see them putting out the content, and you know what? Honestly, one of the things that I also commend them for is right now is very difficult on a lot of people's mental health and everything with regards to not getting out. So the content they're putting out, and especially the fact that they're also having the wrestlers go and do a collaboration where they meld together, them saying, like, for instance, Impact did it, where they say, "You are the Impact." Mm-hmm. And, just seeing that kind of stuff and showing that everyone's in this together, it makes people feel less alone. So not even just the content, just the fact of how much they're bringing attention to everything. The content's always, it's stepped up a bit more now with a lot of the organizations. And it's tough on them. And, it's scary for them, like with regards to everything that's going on too, being professional athletes and everything.
Of course. And I got to say this, I was reading a lot of interviews, whether it be for WWE, Impact, or, and obviously AEW. It's tough to be in a part of like an empty room. There's no crowd noises, so you're pretty much doing what you're doing, but it's in front of no people. But you have the people at home watching you, so that's it's interesting, just the learning curve of what they have to do and what they're going through now. But I gotta say, AEW hyping up with the wrestlers in the crowd. WWE, I gotta say, for a 2-day WrestleMania, as I was going into that, I was kind of like because the crowd really makes a lot of difference. But for what they did, I enjoyed what they presented. Impact had some badass shows from Vegas and Georgia that were already in the can, but I gotta say, I really enjoyed just the unique presentation of, okay, there's no people here, what are we gonna do through these uncertain times? And I gotta say, on all fronts, professional wrestling has delivered, Crystal.
They have delivered, and like with everything that happened, because like Steven was actually supposed to go down to Tampa to watch the TNA Impact show, and with his Impact family, and he basically he was devastated when everything got canceled, but to see that Ethan Page still did his body extravaganza event over YouTube Live, and then you have just everything that happened. Like let me just touch on WrestleMania. Like WrestleMania, the 2-day thing, just like you, I was hesitant. I'm like, okay, WrestleMania is supposed to be the biggest stage, everything going on, and you're going to do it on a 2-day event, no crowd. And I have to admit, like earlier when everything first started, Steven was not happy with the content that WWE was putting out at that moment. Just because they would be like, okay, so we just had Super Showdown, so let's replay that during Raw. Or let's replay that during SmackDown. So he's like why? He's like, other shows can do this stuff. Like, he's like, why are you just replaying it? And now they're doing the regular matches and everything because everyone was thrown into a loop. So the fact that WrestleMania was canceled, like to change to an in-studio taping, not with that much time, but to see the content they put out, especially, we'll touch on it afterwards, but because of Killer Cross being mentioned in my comment that I'm going to say with it, with what they did with the Bray Wyatt and John Cena match, like literally my head was spinning afterwards. the creativity that took and the level that was on was just insane. And the graveyard match, like I actually read up on the graveyard match and how long it took them to film it and everything like that. They like really stepped it up for those two matches especially. But John Cena match still makes my head shake. And still trying to wrap my head around Saturday night's main event and
okay. I'm glad you segued into this because I'm watching that. I'm like, I get it because, see, a lot of people will bash this match, and I understand because people, are not – I'm not saying people are not very creative, but they don't understand, like, why are we doing this? Why is it not an actual fight? I'm going to say this right now. I love Edge, and, I mean, Edge and Drew McIntyre should have had those moments with people in there. But number one, it was great to see Drew McIntyre win the title, and we'll touch upon John Cena and Bray in a second. But number one, great to see Drew McIntyre win the title finally. But number two, great to see Edge win there finally. But I want to ask you, Edge and Randy Orton, last man standing, ends with the concerto. That match was too damn long.
Oh my God. That's one thing. Like we actually, having a child sit and watch it with us that has ADD, Steven got bored. He loves both wrestlers. Like he's met Randy. He loves Edge, he loves Randy. And it was just a case of, he's like, yeah, no, I'm not interested in this thing. And that was just a match that he's like, okay, I'm done. Like it's last man standing, but it's last man standing for half an hour, 40 minutes. Like, he's like, I'm not liking this. Like, he's watching this and I was watching with him. I'm like, okay, unfortunately, as much as I love those two wrestlers, it was a case that I wanted to pick up my phone and let's go see what's going on Facebook. Let's, you know what I mean? Like it was dragged out. It was way too long. But,
yeah. 36 minutes and 42 seconds was the clock time on that, but it's like, god dang, like again, like you mentioned, watching this, I do it with Raw and SmackDown. I catch myself because, and like you were saying about how they're going to show this on Raw and SmackDown, like I'll be honest with you, I'm watching SmackDown, and since they're trying to fill out the show, right? Oh, we're going to show Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair from WrestleMania 24, Ric Flair's retirement match, right? Like I'll be honest with you, one of my favorite matches of all time. I'm sorry, I love you, the storytelling going into Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair from WrestleMania. But I'm just like, this match is 12 years old. I've seen it. I know what the outcome is, so I'm just going to leave the room. And that's the thing that happened with Edge and Randy Orton. I had to get up and stretch. I looked up my phone. Like, all right, like I get it. It's blood. It's personal. He comes out. He starts with the 2 RKOs. They brawl around the Performance Center. But I'm like, will somebody win already, please? Like, please, like a spear, RKOs. I know where. I was ready for it to end. It should have ended like 10 minutes less than it already did. But I'm just like, all right, like, can we get to the finish already?
Oh, you're going 10 minutes. I was going 15 minutes before.
Okay. You see, all right. This is why I love this woman, people, because my dad actually said the exact same thing because he's looking at his watch. He goes, this match should end in 10, no, 15 minutes before. I'm like, all right, hell, I could have ended 10, 15 minutes, what have you. But the problem that I had was it's just, okay, they built to him crying. He didn't want to do the concerto, but it's just like, they could have gotten there instead of just dragging it out and, just fighting on the top of the truck and shit. But it's just like, my God. But yeah, again, makes me want to rip my hair out. But one thing I did enjoy Undertaker, AJ Styles, the presentation. AJ Styles coming out of the casket. Where's the dead man? Making fun of his age. Michelle let you out. Undertaker, that badass entrance, riding right through the motorcycle, right into the graveyard. The inclusion of the Druids, the inclusion of Gallows and Anderson, and Don't Bury Me, Taker. For what they did, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I was very skeptical too because I'm just like, okay, man, we've seen the Taker at WrestleMania. The Roman Reigns match was bleh. The John Cena stuff, which was what it needed to be in 2018. And then last year, well, he wasn't on last year, excuse me, but the night after he Tombstone Elias. So he comes back. We're doing this Undertaker AJ Styles, and I got to say, it met my expectations. I also enjoyed the little thing where he has him in the grave, and then he comes back up. He's right behind him for that imagery, that iconic imagery that we saw in the match. So for the overall presentation, I was not disappointed with that matchup.
Oh no, I loved that matchup, and actually, if you think about like just like the significance of it, because I don't know if you watch like the other shows and everything, but AJ actually stated in, I believe it was Ride Along, and he was riding along with Luke and Carl, and he said, you know, this is my last contract. So if you think of the significance, you know, like at the end of it, that he's coming to the end of his career, he doesn't want to sign another contract. He doesn't want to, you know, keep putting his body through this, to have that match against The Undertaker and to end it like the way they did. And, you know, the significance of him coming up behind him and everything like that. It's just, wow. Like, it was totally, like, they hit the nail on the head, like, drove the last nail into the coffin. It was just perfect. Granted, it was a little scary for Steven, because he was like, what? They're burying AJ? What? And then he's like, oh, wait, no, that hand's fake. That's he's like, they didn't actually bury him. I'm like, no, I think they have a little bit of liability issues. But, you know, it was awesome. The only thing that was we had talked about is when he had called out The Undertaker on the Raw, and then we saw the promo come out for the fight from The Undertaker. He said, you know, you want to bring your goons, let's bring the Holy Trinity. Tony had said, he's like, well, it would have been really cool if they had added Kane coming back in.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying, because you got Badass Undertaker, American Badass, the Brothers of Destruction. I was watching that. I even said to my dad, I'm like, where is Kane going to get involved in this? Because we got Gallows and Anderson. I'm like, he's just going to fight off the OC by himself, but he did. And I mean, I would have liked to see the continuity with Kane, because you had the Badass Brothers of Destruction. But I mean, yeah, I mean, again, like the presentation. Also, I did catch that right along that you were mentioned, but I think for what they did, I mean, AJ Styles has even said when he first had that match with Chris Jericho, and his son was like, "Daddy, you lost." He's like, "No, I won." I mean, the dude's had incredible WrestleMania matchups and moments, from Chris Jericho, Shane McMahon, from what he got to do with he got to work with a lot of great people, Nakamura, you know, just the whole nine, Randy Orton, and now The Undertaker. Like, he's had some high-profile matches.
He has. And, you know, it's, and no pun intended, it's phenomenal.
Not gonna lie, that made me laugh during the promo where he goes, "Phenomenal my ass," and I'm like, that's just something, the way he said it cracked me up. But again,
oh yeah.
It added to the story. And man, the one that you couldn't wrap your head around, here's me. I'm a big continuity guy. I mean, if people listen to James E. Cornette talk about that goddamn son of a bitch, why is John Cena competing in this stupid shit? Fuck. And Jim Cornette's absolute 15-minute rant on the damn match. Once they did the Welcome to WrestleMania and they showed Vince McMahon and just the whole nine from years past and just the whole let me in, and then bringing it to the Firefly Funhouse, here's John, Ramblin' Rabbit leads him there, and then you get the Vince McMahon puppet. And I thought that whole thing was cool because it showed his highs and his lows throughout his career. So it was like a career retrospective, but with a side of acid trip here, Crystal. And I loved it. It was cool because it started with the ruthless aggression, John Cena in the old tights that he used to wear, every different colored tights, and he's making fun of him, which I also did like. You can look, but you can't touch, which cracked me the F up when he did that little dance. And then it goes into, like you mentioned, Saturday night's main event. But here's the continuity that I love, because it's the stigma of when you're in the 80s, the guys, everybody was jacked, everybody was ripped. So it didn't matter if you had talent. You know, it was all about the size. I mean, a guy like Bray Wyatt wouldn't even get the time of day back in the 80s. So I think that continuity added about it. So what did you think about the puppet and the shock of, look at those muscles, look at those muscles? What do you think about that part?
Oh my God. Like, I loved it. And, you know, like when he's like, you know, the, like his arm's gone completely limp, and the when he's beating the heck out of the puppet, which, you know, I don't mean people that can get that much advantage over a puppet, but just saying. we know I love John, right? Because Steven's going to meet John down the line, so we know that it's John's a very special person to us. But I think what a lot of people, the issue is they were saying, oh my God, like, what kind of a match was that? Was that a match? Like, what did I, like, Titus O'Neil's face at the end was just perfect. Like, okay, like, what was that? And I think where a lot of the thing is, people are like, oh, well, we're expecting a match. It's supposed to be a match. But yes, they said it was supposed to be a Firefly Funhouse match. Now, if you think about that, what is the Fiend known for? He is known for getting in your head.
Yep.
So if you think about what a Firefly Funhouse match would be, it would be the Fiend getting into John Cena's head. So he would play on moments that he didn't do great and all the errors and everything like that. That's exactly what he would do. because that's how you screw with your enemy, and that's how you win in the end. So it was nailed perfectly. Loved all the content of it. Granted, I'm not gonna lie that we weren't all sitting there scratching our heads like, did we really just sit and watch that? Like, what was that? But it was awesome. It was truly awesome.
And that's the thing, like, it goes after the Saturday Spin event, Egomania is running wild, brother, and then you go to basic thugonomics, then you go to the WrestleMania 30 match, and then you go into, okay, I'm going to say this right now, him playing the role of Eric Bischoff and John Cena playing the role of Hulk Hogan. I mean, the heel turn, because, John Cena, the heel turn, played to that, and played to, him just being a larger-than-life character, and then Cena beats him up with the puppet, and then, yes, Mandible Claw, Sister Abigail, John Cena disappears. Again, it was told very well, but again, I know a lot of people. I think you actually laid it out beautifully and brilliantly with how you explained that, because it's true. It's very valid. Get inside one's head. But yeah, just a lot of people. I'm not going to say lack of creativity, but I'm like, God dang, look at it from different perspectives. I mean, we like the final deletion, and we like a lot of these crazy things that happen. I love that stuff. I was very skeptic when Matt Hardy started first doing that at Impact Wrestling, and then it just got bonkers, dare I say, buck wild throughout the months and what have you, and how they presented that presentation. But I mean, look at Thriller. Look at how long Michael Jackson's Thriller was. If you actually look at the mini movie that it was, just back in the 80s. I mean, there's a lot of stuff and elements that are incorporated in that were just absolutely flourishing, and it came together in the end.
Well, see, I think that's what people, when we talked about creativity with all these shows and what they're doing now and everything. If you look at the Matt Hardy and you look at the whole, Funhouse fight and everything, you have to look at the perspective from a creative writing team, because I grew up in the television industry. Like, my dad was a television producer. I've been on movie sets and everything like that. You see the whole collective process of putting everything together. And you have a character here, the Fiend, who has just, he's crazy. He's local. Like, he's, he's gonna screw with your head. Like, that's exactly what he does. So to sit there and say, okay, I'm gonna do a traditional match, like he did with the strap match with Daniel Bryan, or, I'm gonna do the whole let me in and then it's gonna be a plain on fight. No, that doesn't work. Now, if I have to sit there and I'm going to say, okay, I've got the Edge and Randy Orton fight, the John Cena and Fiend fight, and I'll even throw in there the Goldberg and Braun fight. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go to the Fiend and John Cena every time. Like, yes, it's not an actual real wrestling match per se, but the first thing about taking on an opponent is getting into their head. If you want to defeat an opponent, get into their head, get their mind all tripped up, and then you're going to take advantage of an opponent. And that's in any fight that you go through. And yes, I like the other fights, but okay, we've got spear, powerbomb. Okay, I win the championship.
Yeah, exactly.
You got, okay, I'm going to hit you in the ring, and then I'm going to hit you in the back room, and then I'm going to hit you in the boardroom, and then I'm going to take you into, the dressing room areas, and then I'm going to put you on top of
the truck.
Come on, really, okay, let's rewind this back 15 minutes. Okay, we're done at this set here, Still don't know who's going to pay for those walls that they damaged in the gym. I don't know if you caught that.
I saw it.
But, seriously, and then you go thinking about, you have this other fight that is just totally out there. Or you have the AJ Styles, even if you don't want to go with the craziness of the Funhouse, you go with the AJ Styles Undertaker match. I'm going to watch that fight over the other two because it's interesting. It's got the creativity. It's got the stamina. It's got the right length of time. And it's just not, it's not an over amount and it's not an under amount. It's just exactly right. But the Funhouse one, I do have to say, is still something that I scratch my head at, even now, a week later.
All right. Well, I got to say this with Drew and Brock, Braun, and Goldberg. I got to say, first and foremost, thank God Braun finally won the title, even though due to circumstances. And Roman Reigns obviously was so right in pulling out with all that situation that went on there. And obviously doesn't want to affect his own health with all that Roman Reigns has gone through. But yeah, Braun wins. Friggin' 4 power slams after spear after spear after spear. Brock Lesnar F5 after F5 after F5. Then Claymore after Claymore after Claymore. Drew beats Brock, and then they had the match with the Big Show after WrestleMania. So, I mean, yeah, it is what it is there. But I got to ask you, as far as Bray goes, what do you think about about them putting him and Braun into the next fold for the title, which I know Money in the Bank, I believe, is going to be taped in advance like WrestleMania was. But Bray and Braun, I mean, you get the Wyatt family, the whole 2015. He was the black sheep. He brought Braun into the Wyatt family, and now he feels he turned his back on him. And now Braun's like, all right, I'll let you let me in, and I'll let you in, and the whole nine there. So what do you think about the full circle that we have with Cena now being the full circle that we have with Braun for the title?
I think that first of all, let me just rewind back. So the whole Braun winning the title, we actually as a family were very happy. Like, we've met Braun, we've talked with Braun. He's massive in real life. Like, kids are trying to hug his leg and they couldn't even get their arms around his leg. Like, huge. Very happy to see that he managed to win the title. With regards to the Roman fight, I would like to the Roman part of it. I would like to touch base on that later when we talk about the COVID-19 stuff. But to see those two go, like, bring it full circle, that would be really, really nice. Just because, it's all about bringing everything forward. So in order to bring something forward, you have to deal with the past. And that is a way to keep everyone interested. Like, I know you said, oh, well, I've already seen this WrestleMania. This was from 12 years ago. Uh-huh. But at the end of the day, playing devil's advocate, you have my son who's 8 years old.
True.
Who might not have seen, well, okay, a normal child might not have seen these matches. And so it's bringing in a whole new generation of fans. So when you bring in a previous battle, bring them back together to fight, as long as it's not going to be the same old stuff, you're going to, and which it can't be, because the Fiend is a new character. So to have them both have the title run for and Money in the Bank, I think it would be a good storyline. Would I like to see Braun hold the title for a little bit longer? Yes. It's one of those things that, you don't want someone that, Braun changes his character, like, not in the sense of fully changed his character, but he sticks to his roots. And it's something you like. He doesn't flip-flop on his character. He's come far, and he's paid his dues, and let's see him shine for a bit. The Bray Wyatt's character, The Fiend, is just remarkable, and I think it would just make a great kind of good versus evil storyline, if you get what I'm saying.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the thing is, like, he started as the black sheep, and then he, got into his own as the monster. And I mean, he's just absolutely, had so much success being involved in the title picture and just having these great moments that he's had. And I mean, he won the tag title with a 10-year-old, Nicholas at WrestleMania. So I mean, it's those special moments that are awesome. And I got to say this just on a sidebar, because my memory sometimes fades. When you were talking about Loco before, I immediately started playing Cypress Hill's Insane in the Membrane in my head. Don't you know I'm Loco? There's some pop culture nerdiness for you, Miss Crystal Spice.
Yep. But Insane in the Membrane.
Got no brain, yes. I digress. But I think what's great about that, too, is, like, I'll be honest with you, I look forward to seeing where that direction goes. And I mean, like, the only other thing I can mention is, like, I've been enjoying NXT and the NXT UK as well. Right now with the whole travel ban, I got to ask you, because one of the things that came out, Jordan Devlin, the Irish Ace, who's on NXT UK, he is the NXT Cruiserweight Champion. They are now holding a tournament to crown the interim Cruiserweight Champion. So I got to ask you, what do you think about what they did with that? Because obviously with the travel restrictions, Jordan Devlin couldn't come to the States. So what do you think about them putting in the interim Cruiserweight Championship?
It's one of those things that they're trying to roll the punches. Right now, we're living in a world of complete uncertainty. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Death tolls are rising around the world, and I think they're trying to do the best. They're trying to give the best that they can with what they're being dealt. You have situations that are beyond your control, so you could do an interim champion. They did. The interim championship is one way to do it, or they could have just totally ignored it. But instead of ignoring it, that puts the fans, behind. They're trying to move forward with it. It's just now, granted, if everything gets cleared and this interim champion gets to keep everything, and it's just kind of Jordan Devlin's kind of just brushed off to the side. Well, that's not really right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it old school here. I mean, it's kind of like back in the day, and I'll say this right now. This is the infamous ladder match with Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. They could do something with Jordan Devlin, whoever the interim Cruiserweight champion is. Who is the real Cruiserweight champion? Who is the real Intercontinental champion? There's some throwbacks to some continuity in back in the day. It also comes full circle since Shawn Michaels is helping out with the NXT UK brand, and Triple H is doing his thing with NXT brand. So like I brought that back full circle of Crystal Spice, bringing it back to 94, and then here we are in 2020. Yes, taking it back for the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's just my brain there. You know, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, who's the real Intercontinental champion? Jordan Devlin, and whoever the interim Cruiserweight champion is, who's the real Cruiserweight champion? So, yeah, I'm putting some seeds in there. But like I said, throughout what we're going on these uncertain times, let's see what they do. And I'll be honest with you, watching 205 like for 20-something minutes with the two matches that they've had, there's some badass matches. And watching NXT UK, like I said, there's a lot of wrestling out there, people. So try to enjoy it through these uncertain times. Put a smile on your face. Positively proactive. I'll tell you something that is positively proactive, Miss Crystal Spice. Killer Cross on NXT. My goodness. We had Gargano and Ciampa doing their thing. The final battle, one final beat. The Rebel Heart against the Black Heart. Johnny Gargano gets the W after Candice LeRae kicks and hits Tommaso Ciampa right in the ding-ding. And then we go out, and who do we see in the car? There's a little reflection, a little silhouette. And I had to go back and rewind it because I'm like, God dang if it isn't Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux in that car. What do you think about what they're doing? Is Killer Cross going to go after Ciampa? Are we going to go after Gargano? Are we going to get Gargano and a now heel Candice LeRae against Scarlett Bordeaux? Killer Cross. Killer Smoke Show is in NXT. Big Killer Cross fan from his days from Lucha Underground, AAA, Impact Wrestling. What do you think about Killer Cross and the vignettes that we've seen and what he's going to be doing in NXT?
Okay, so let's just touch on Killer Cross in general.
Yep.
To answer your question with regards to whether it's Johnny or Tommaso that he's going to be doing, let's just put everybody on record that Killer Cross is just going to clean house.
There you go.
It's not that it's plain and simple. Like his, this man here, he's phenomenal, and he's not just phenomenal in the sense of like wrestling. He's just a phenomenal person all the way around. He's just, so for him to come in, he's going to be a great face for NXT. Do I see him staying in NXT long? Probably not. I just don't want to see him get lost in the roster because he is so phenomenal. So whether it's Johnny or whether it's Tommaso, he's going to clean house. It don't matter who steps in front of him. He is, as Steven says, he is the judge, the jury, and the executioner. Plain and simple. And he's going to bring in a whole new breed of fans because of his persona as a whole. Even so, I'll touch base with regards to just sidetracking. We were talking about WrestleMania, and you were talking about Killer Cross, and in the NXT, he's already he promotes everything through wrestling, through the WWE, and then he had his his little opinion about the John Cena and Fiend fight, and he stated it, and some YouTube podcaster, backyard wrestler, Marky Extreme called him out and said, do you know anything about wrestling? And Killer Cross responded, says, name the time and the place, and I will show you. No fear. Doesn't matter who it is. He will put them down. And he'll have his little sidekick cheering from the background.
That's the thing about him, because I know Steven's had a lot of great pictures and a lot of great moments with Killer Cross. I think a lot of people don't realize, outside of that, TikTok and just that whole demeanor of what he has. And I've had the pleasure of interviewing him and the guys I've had on the Heelcast here. But the dude is just a very cool, down-to-earth dude that just loves pro wrestling, influenced by the likes of the late, great Brian Pillman and the great Jake the Snake Roberts, who we now see on AEW with Lance Archer. The dude has been influenced by a lot of great people from the promo-wise and from the wrestling standpoint as well.
He has, and he cuts a killer promo. That's why, no pun intended there. But we were concerned when we heard, because he posted a few months ago. He had posted, where do you want to see me? Where do my fans want to see me? Do you want to see me in New Japan? Do you want to see me WWE? Do you want to see me AEW? And Steven, who's only 8, said, would rather see you whether it's AEW or WWE, doesn't matter as long as you're happy. Like, that is the main standpoint, is as long as you're happy, that's all I care about. And, you know, it's the promos and everything like that. Steven's tried to take after him with regards to some of the promos, along with the old EC Dub promos. He's such a great guy. He reaches out. He makes sure to touch base, even in his busy schedule, like responding to Steven's tweet the other day, taking on Marquee Extreme. He, you know, Killer Cross just makes sure to put his fans and that first. Like, he's, you know, he goes above and beyond with what he can do. And I think that just makes him an all-around amazing athlete, because you have these athletes that get in standpoints that, you know, okay, well, I'm not going to have anything to do with you and everything like that. But at the end of the day, if it's not the fans screaming your name, you're going to get buried.
And on a side note, you actually mentioned something very keen in your sentiments there, Crystal. I mean, there's people, like, when you were talking about, oh, where are they going to go? And I mean, people go, why don't you go here? Why don't you go there? And then they get upset when they go over here, they go over there. I understand people's opinions, but I'm like, at the end of the day, these people got families. They got to do what's best for them and their overall situation. So it's like, wherever they're happy, let them go. If they're happy going to AEW, Impact Wrestling, WWE, Ring of Honor, MLW, NWA, there's so many wrestling promotions out there. Wherever you go, you just got to be happy, and you make the most and just put on a hell of a time for the people and entertain.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, I think Steven hit the nail on the head of go where you're happy. He knew Scarlett was at NXT. Mm-hmm. He knew she was already there. And, you know, who wants to be, okay, so Scarlett would be at NXT and he would go to AEW. Mm-hmm. When are they going to be on the same schedule? When are they going to see each other? They're not. It's so if you're a real fan, yes, you know, you've got people that are diehard Impact fans and diehard, you know, who would never be at a WWE show, or up here we have Smash, or we have, like, you know, Crossbody, we have all these other wrestling organizations up here, Alpha One, and you figure you've got these people that are coming in, and they're upset because they're like, oh, well, you left this organization, or, oh, you're leaving this organization to do this. But what about their happiness? At the end of the day, they're there to entertain. That is what they are there for. That is their job. And they still have feelings, and they need to be happy. And if you are a true fan, then you will stick by the people that you support. Like, there's too much garbage. Like, Tony and I see it all the time with wrestling and everything like that, where, oh, he said, she said, and it's like back and forth and back and forth. And it's like, who cares? At the end of the day, who cares? As long as people are happy, that's all that matters. Stay out of the drama. You're there to be entertained. It is called entertainment for a reason. Not to get involved in the drama. Just let it be.
Exactly. Kind of like that old Kevin Hart, seriously funny stand-up comedy special that he did for HBO back in the day. It's like when they cry, it's like, oh my God, no, he's going over here. Why? Why are you going over there? They kind of sound like that. You know what I'm saying? You remember that?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. And I'm like, people stop. And it's like, oh my God, no, he went over here. Why? And it's like, you know, if they're happy, they're happy. Leave them alone. If you're a fan, you're a fan. I mean, it doesn't matter where they go. It's professional wrestling, people. There's so much professional wrestling. That's why it's great to have the alternatives. If you don't like WWE, watch Impact. If you don't like Impact, watch Ring of Honor. Watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. Support your local indies. There's so much wrestling out there. There is something for everybody.
There is. And you know what's crazy is seeing Steven just got into watching wrestling and everything in 2018.
Yeah.
He's fairly new to the game, but if you look at his perspective and you look at it from not an adult's perspective, but from a child's perspective, it is huge. So you see, he followed Killer Cross from Impact. He saw him when he came to Alpha One. He's maintained a rapport and everything like that. And Steven told me he had reached out to Killer Cross and said, you know, I'm afraid you're going to forget me when you get big. And you think about it, because in the indies, it's, you know, you're all close knit and everything like that, and you know, you get to sit and talk for 20 minutes with the wrestlers. You know, you don't get that once they're at the level that they're at of WWE. But Killer Cross had said, he's like, you know what, bud, that can never happen. That can never happen. And the next event that he saw him at was an Alpha One event up here, and there's this huge long lineup for Killer Cross. Huge. And Steven just slowly walked up the side, and Killer Cross like, well, why are you over there? Get over here. Come over here. Come see me. You know? And when you look at what I'm saying is, when you look at the I Started a Child, it doesn't matter where a person fights for, just enjoy the show. Like you said, there's plenty of different wrestling organizations. If you don't like one, go watch something else. It's not like, or you can be a fan like Steven and just watch everything.
See, I am your lovely son, your awesome son, your kick-ass son that is Steven, because I'll be honest with you, when I actually, like you mentioned, he got into it late. Like, guys, I started watching wrestling in 2002. Now, why I mentioned that's late in the game is because, mind you, this is when TNA started, and we also had, this is the Ruthless Aggression era. This is right after WWE bought WCW, ECW was out of business. So, I mean, this is when John Cena, Randy Orton, Batista, and all the guys are on the come up and stuff like that, right? So, what's interesting about that is, like, I got into TNA in 2004 because one of my favorite wrestlers still to this day is Jeff Hardy. And when he fought AJ Styles on the second anniversary show for the X Division Championship, that got me hooked because I wanted to see Jeff Hardy. And it opened me up to see guys like AJ Styles and Kid Cash and Lance Hoyt, now Lance Archer, and so many great people during that time period. Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, the list goes on and on. But then I started getting the Ring of Honor in 2005. So everything all at once, you just see this over here, this over there. I mean, I'm sounding like Petey Pablo, North Carolina, come on and raise up. Pop culture nerdiness, my apologies, but I digress. So where there's so many things that are out there for people, starting from like WWE and then, oh, here's this company, oh, here's that company. You're starting to get into the blend. It's like a buffet. Oh, if I don't like this, let me get something over here. It's one big giant buffet. Enjoy it, eat it, manja, to use the Italian word manja. It's wonderful. So yeah, I kind of agree with your sentiment that Steven watches everything, because that's the way you got to be, open-minded. Watch a little something, a little bit of everything.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. It's the best way to be. Don't be closed-minded, and like check everything out, and someone you may find something that you actually will in turn like really enjoy watching.
Agreed.
Especially right now with everything going on.
Agreed. And now one of the best things also, I just also wanted to segue to this because you mentioned earlier. So right after Impact last week, I believe it was, they did the TNA special at 10 o'clock. I'll be honest with you. I know it's tough because a lot of the talent like AJ Styles and the OGs are in different companies and respective companies. But for bringing in guys like Hernandez and Chase Stevens, for me, what's cool about that is one of the biggest tag teams ever in LAX and then the Naturals alongside Andy Douglas. So those are two of the top tag teams from that time, one respective Hernandez, LAX, and Chase Stevens and Naturals. I thought that was really cool. And we got to see Scott Steiner being the legend that he is, and people say what they will say for him being controversial. It's great just to see him put a whooping on that boy, Joey Ryan. We got to see Suicide and Manic because of the whole tie-in there with Suicide becoming Manic, and TJP is Manic, and just to see guys like Kid Cash, again, top star in the X Division, ECW, WWE, ever he's been, Johnny Swinger teaming back in the day with the likes of Glenn Gilberti, aka Disco Inferno, in the NYC with Big Vito and Trinity. And the nostalgia factor for what they had for that hour time slot, I did enjoy it in the big brawl at the end. So, I mean, I was hooked. I thought I was invested. It brought me back to the old days. I enjoyed with the presentation for what they had because, like I mentioned, a lot of the stars are in different places. But for the crop of talent they brought in, I enjoyed it.
I think with doing something like that, it like I said with regards to even bringing back to Steven is it brings in a whole new generation. By bringing back the old stars, it brings into the old, into the new, and it's just a phenomenal effort on the company's part. Like, kind of like where are they now? And okay, meets let's teach these people a lesson. You know what I mean? Like it's just a phenomenal job that Impact did and everything like that.
Agreed, and I'll be honest with you. Like I said, it brought me back to the days of early TNA, NWA TNA. Then it's foregone into TNA. Now I got to ask you. Speaking of TNA, one of the other news before we get to talk about Rebellion and we talk about the current product and we'll talk some other stuff and we'll get to Roman and the COVID-19 talk. But I got to ask you, Miss Crystal Spice. Ken Shamrock, the first ever inaugural NWA TNA champion there at the time. We saw his run from 2002 to 2003, obviously his MMA run and his run in the WWF. Then coming back, going against the likes of Moose, Madman Fulton, being involved in the mix now, what he's doing with Sami Callihan. What are your thoughts on Ken Shamrock going into the Impact Wrestling Hall of
Fame? He's done a lot for the industry as a whole. And I think that when you've paid your dues, like I'll actually tie it to a different area, and then this may be you see someone like Ken Shamrock and his his contributions to everything. Okay. And you hear about, Impact Hall of Fame and stuff like that. And then you go look at the WWE and the Hall of Fame. Let's induct the Bella Twins.
Oh, see?
Like, I'm sorry. What exactly have you contributed except for whining and, to get, like, yes, okay, yeah, you competed for a while, but you didn't. There's way more people that deserve to be in a spot before the Bella Twins. Like, I'm sorry. Like, so then when you compare things like apples to oranges, it's kind of like you see someone who's done all this MMA stuff and all this wrestling and, the championships and everything like that. But he has to, okay, here's my nomination. Okay, I'm going to back it up with this. Bella Twins waiting for the backup. Like, if you had heard the rant that Steven did when he heard the Bella Twins were getting nominated into the Hall of Fame, you would have died laughing.
I can only imagine.
Like, he was just naming wrestlers off the top of his head. Like, he's like, what about this person? What about this person? What about this person? What about this person? And he's like, why them? He's like, no, like, it's wrong. It is so wrong on so many levels. And this is a rant from an 8-year-old who's already got his head screwed on straight with this.
See, I can appreciate the passion, and okay, so I agree with that. And here's why I say that, because, I mean, when you look at the Impact footage that they showed, well, it was WWE footage that WWE gave them. We got to see the classic Austin Bret Hardy's involved with that, winning the tag titles with the Big Boss Man, winning the King of the Ring, beating The Rock, winning the Intercontinental Championship. So, all right, the Bella Twins going into the Hall of Fame. When I first saw that, I'm like, really? Like, they were there since 2008, but I'm like, eh. But then I also looked at it like, okay, and this is not defending it. I'm just saying I tried to look at it from a different perspective, even though I was yucking with the suctitude of this. There's a new phrase for you, yucking with the suctitude. Good Lord. So I've been thinking about this, and I'm trying to think like, okay, well, all right, look at this. Like, I'll be honest with you. Look, Total Bellas, Total Divas, and the reality show that they done, and Nikki Bella, okay. So I look at it from like, okay, so for people who are not wrestling fans, and I'm looking at I'm trying to put myself in the female perspective here, right? The female point of view. So I'm thinking, okay, girls are going to watch Total Bellas and Total Divas who are not wrestling fans, and then they watch it and they go, oh my God, they do this wrestling stuff. This is cool. And then we tune in to see the Bella Twins and Alicia Fox and Natalia and whoever the hell's on the damn show. So I get it from that aspect, but I'm like, their careers in WWE are not necessarily Hall of Fame worthy. Like, I'd rather have friggin', I don't know us. I mean, Chyna's in there with DX. I mean, we've had Lita going, we had Trish, we've had Tori Wilson go in there. I mean, I could have thought of other people. Jacqueline's in there already, but I'm like, Molly Holly, Victoria, like, hello, you know what I'm saying, if that makes sense?
It totally makes sense. I'm like, okay, we're not giving acting awards out here. We're giving out wrestling awards. Like, it is Hall of Fame. Not to knock the Bella Twins by any standpoint. Like, any person who puts their body through what these people put their bodies through is phenomenal. But what I'm saying is there's far more deserving people. Like, I'm sorry, okay. You have to compare, okay, let's look at the Bella Twins getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And then you have, on the other hand, not a female, but someone's way overdue of the British Bulldog.
Yes, which thank God he's in.
So my whole thing is you've got the Bella Twins, and then you got the British Bulldog. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, British Bulldog, Bella Twins. I'm like, how are they even on the same level? Like, they're not. And then, Steven brought up, he's like, you've got people like The Rock and, John and everything like that, and we're like, well, they still do stuff for the WWE. He's like, okay. He's like, there's this person and that person. He named so many people, and I'm like, well, you know what? Let me find Triple H's email, and you can email him and ask him.
Well, that's the thing why I complained. I'm like, I get the NWO, but I'm like, X-Pac's already in, Hulk Hogan's already in, Shawn Michaels is already in, Kevin Nash is already in. Like, I'm not Shawn Michaels. I mean, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, X-Pac, Scott Hall, they're already in as a part with DX and the whole thing there. And I mean, British Bulldog, long overdue. I mean, Batista, okay, I can understand Batista going into the Hall of Fame. But I mean, like, really, like, they could have done so much like other stuff. And I mean, for me, like, I know he only wrestled in WWE once as a part of NXT. He had a great match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn with Tyler Breeze. Jushin Thunder Liger, I was so happy about. I know they did a great tribute for him at Corrigan Hall in Japan, but I was even happy to see Jushin Thunder Liger go in, even though he only wrestled the one match.
See, there are more important people to go in.
Okay, so I mean, we're all proving the point here, but it's just like, yeah, like just the Bella twins. You can look, but you can't touch. How about don't touch the Hall of Fame? Boom, there we go.
That's it. That's just plain and simple. Just don't. That's why the only thing that I can say that I'm thankful for this COVID-19 is
Yes.
that actually, like, I feel bad for the people that were inducted that do willingly deserve the spot. But I am happy that they don't get their big ceremony unless they get it next year. But just saying.
We were joking about this on the Max Wrestling podcast. Check us out, Max Wrestling UK on Twitter. Cheap plug. But I gotta say this: we were talking about it. We were having some fun with this, Crystal, and we're like, "Yeah, great. Now we don't have to hear them going, oh my God, we're in the Hall of Fame. Thank you guys, pre-mode." And I'm like, "Thank God we don't have to hear that."
Oh my God.
Yeah, John. Well, here's the thing: when Miz and Maurice made fun of John Cena and Nikki Bella going into that WrestleMania, making fun of that show, that was spot on, just because it was hilarious, and how John Cena did what he did for the cameras, and Nikki Bella, which Nikki Bella is Nikki Bella, and I mean, good for her. They're both pregnant at the same time. Congratulations. We're not knocking that, but Hall of Fame, no. But yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So now we get on to the Impact Wrestling side of things. And I got to say, I really enjoyed the North doing their thing against Tessa and Eddie Edwards. Tessa not one to tag, being the independent woman, throw your hands up at me, Destiny's Child style. Whole nine there. I really did enjoy what they're doing with Tessa Blanchard. I know people say what they want about her being the champion. The thing I was reading, man, I was looking at it online. I mean, with the whole thing, I believe she's in California, and she's like, I'm not, I don't want to travel, which I don't blame her, during these times. The match of Michael Elgin and Eddie Edwards may be in jeopardy. I know they're going to be. I like the fact that they were supposed to have Rebellion in New York, and now, unfortunately, that's not going to happen because of what the hell's going on in New York, and I've been checking on my people back home in NY. It's just fucking nuts. But now they're made an Access TV special. We'll run down the card in a sec, but what do you think about the possibility of the triple threat matchup for the title being in jeopardy, and what that Access TV special is now Rebellion? They're going to air it on TV as opposed to pay-per-view.
I think that it's a better decision to air it on TV, just with given everything that's going on. I don't think anything less of Tessa Blanchard for saying, I don't want to travel. I think that's warranted. I know that Impact have posted that they're not doing lockdown up here. Granted, wrestling events up here are canceled until God knows when. I know Greektown Wrestling's on until September, I heard. But it's a case that, with Impact, it's, they're doing like everything else. They're doing the best they can. I think that Tessa is. Let me just touch on the whole Tessa thing. Like, there's a lot of people that are going around saying, "Oh," and I actually had to bite my tongue today when I saw a feed with regards to this whole Tessa and what happened with Tessa and Eddie versus the North. First of all, you have a woman, and they fight 10 times harder than men do to get anywhere in the industry. I'm not saying that because I'm a female. I'm saying that in general, and that's with, I'm not a women's rights activist by any means of the word. But whenever you see someone go one step forward, there's someone behind them pulling them back 3 steps. So for her to beat Sammy for the title, and for her to be, and everything that she has been through, with the biggest fight of her career, having everyone land-based her with everything. Tessa has never been anything but a sweetheart to us. She's holds Steven very near and dear to her heart. She's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. And she's warranted in her feelings to not want to travel right now. And I just think that, people need to respect people's wishes, and it's a scary time, and people are scared. And I think that given time, everything will work itself out for the best storylines possible, no matter what's going on, no matter what organization, no matter what fight.
Agreed. And what's interesting about this, and I mean, I don't blame her either, and we'll touch upon Roman Reigns at the end of the show because I know we're going to touch upon that as well. But, it's just like, people, you got to realize, like, what's going on? Like, there's people that just they don't want to travel, and I don't blame them. So I mean, I'll be honest with you. I look forward to seeing what comes up of what they're doing. I think it's very interesting what we have going into Rebellion now being on Access TV, being an Access TV special. But yeah, I mean, I agree with it wholeheartedly, and I'll be honest with you. As far as Tessa Blanchard, I'll say this right now. I remember seeing her early stuff, Crystal, like 2015, 2016. I did a show out here in Myrtle Beach. It was actually 10 minutes from my house at the X Gym. I gotta say, girl, I've seen her from the early stages. I've seen her from the Mae Young Classic. Had one of the best matches in the inaugural Mae Young Classic with Kairi Sane. The girl has talent. I look forward to seeing what she does. Now, I'm gonna say this right now. So I want to get your thought on this. So my original thoughts for the matches, and we'll go through the Rebellion card. Tessa Blanchard, Michael Elgin, Eddie Edwards, right? I could see a sequence happening where Tessa winds up pinning Eddie Edwards, and Michael Elgin comes out and says, well, you didn't pin me in the match, and then your Slammiversary match, we could build to Tessa Blanchard versus Big Mike, Michael Elgin, and then Michael Elgin takes the title. What do you think about that analogy and what I just spit out going into Slammiversary?
I like everything until you say Michael Elgin takes the title.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm like not to knock Mike Elgin or Eddie Edwards or anybody because they're all great guys. And actually, Steven actually motivates a lot of them apparently, including Eddie Edwards. From what I've heard from Killer Cross in the locker rooms and stuff like that. But it's just a case that for girls work so hard, and yes. I'm not saying that Mike Elgin doesn't deserve the championship by any means, but I'm just saying, you know what? The build up to her to winning that title was insane. And then, to have someone come out that's, 2 times the size of her, beat her for the title, don't really like that idea. It's just my perspective, because you figure you've got someone, and this was the other point I was going to say back to before, where people were knocking Tessa. So I had Steven sit down and watch a video, okay? And I'm going to see if you can guess who the star is. So you remember that whole battle that happened when Tessa was going against Sammy?
Yes.
For the title. Okay. So you remember that whole Twitter war that happened?
All right.
Okay. So there was one female wrestler that she was all shooting her mouth off with how mean Tessa was and this and that and the next thing, and you did this to me and you did that to me and everything. I'm like, okay, everyone's got a point to their arguments. But to me personally, I want to see if you can figure out who this person is. This person, for someone who offended so much, why would she steal her opening moves from her walkout?
Oh, you were talking about Charlotte Flair, right?
No.
Okay, hold on, Sienna.
You're in the right company.
Okay, I'm in the right company. Oh my goodness. Now I have to keep going with this. Hold on. I'm right. I'm trying to. Okay, there was a lot of people in that Twitter war. So yeah, you're making me think now. Okay, I'm all right. I'm in the right company. I said Sienna. I said Charlotte. I said I'm trying to think. Okay, no. Oh my God. Okay, now you got to hit me because it was a while ago. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. It's not Raw, not SmackDown. Okay. So I'll give you the last one.
All right, it's someone from NXT. Is it someone from NXT?
Yep.
Okay, I gotta think. And this should be easy to me, people, but I'm trying to think. Her moves, her swag. All right, yeah, you're gonna have to refresh my memory. I know I should probably get this, but go ahead, Crystal.
Search up Chelsea Green's openings.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
Because Steven sat here and he watched Chelsea Green come out on NXT, and he's like, you are not undeniable.
That's awesome.
That's all he says is you are not undeniable, because she came out and she pivot, head turn over with her hair, walking with her arms up and everything, like she's all that to the ring. And I'm like, okay, you are not Tessa. Let's get this straight.
Okay, now I just have
look up Chelsea Green's openings, and you will see that she does. For someone who's so offended by Tessa, how is it that you do Tessa's opening?
Okay, so I got the opening of Chelsea Green versus Shotzi Blackheart in the background here. All right, here comes Shotzi Blackheart. Then we fast forward. Yeah, that is exactly the same thing with her and Robert Stone, Robbie E. There, yeah. And I have this lowered because I don't want WWE content playing in my background here. But yeah, you can definitely see the swag. You can see, like you mentioned, the head bop, the head turn coming out. Yeah, that is exactly spot on. Tessa Blanchard from Impact. You were correct on that.
And in Steven's words, she's not undeniable.
You see, it had to. Okay, you know what it is? Because I remember there were so many people in there, and I'll be honest with you, I had to remember because yes, Chelsea Green was in there, but yeah, they got into like big in that argument. I remember. Yeah, that's right. But then now she's doing a little Tessa Blanchard. Okay, you see, fair point on you. I had to rewatch that to remember. So thank you for that, Crystal.
No problem.
God. Well, you know what it is, too? I'll be honest with you. And I love Chelsea Green. I was one of the guys that was a fan of the Laurel Van Ness character and what they're doing. Like, okay, so obviously she's teamed with Britt Baker in Fire and Ice. I want you to agree. Now, Laurel Van Ness was nuts. It was batshit. And I thought it was an interesting character. And I followed Chelsea Green from when she was in Tough Enough with the Velveteen Dream and all of them. And then she does her thing in Impact. And then she had the match at All In. And then she did her thing on Lucha Underground. And then she came to WWE. She had the match with Charlotte on Raw. She's over here. She's over there in NXT with like Kaden Carter. She was just in the ladder match for NXT, which Io Shirai won, is now the #1 contender. But yeah, Chelsea Green, what's the dealio with that? Because she runs her mouth, and now she's doing that. I guess heel persona. They got that swag, they got that fire, they got that flavor about them. But yeah, she's doing a little bit of the Tessa thing in her entrance. I see her, and for someone who was in a match with her, like I mentioned, at All In.
It's you're in a verbal war, and you're just going to use her style. Sorry. You need to come up with your own content, honey.
Oh, man. Okay.
Well, you said this is a heel podcast.
Well, this is the Heelcast, yes. And I know Hurls will be listening to this, will appreciate that comment because he hates LVN, Laurel Van Ness, Chelsea Green, whatever you want to call her. So, yes. Hurls will appreciate that, and I agree. And I'll be honest with you, I agree. I agree to a certain extent because, like I said, if you're gonna flap from the gums and then you do exactly that. You ever notice that, not just in wrestling but in life, when somebody makes fun of you and they go at you and then they do exactly the same thing that you're criticizing for? Hypocritical? Hello.
It is a little hypocritical, but that's why you always say copying is the highest form of flattery. So you're gonna put the person down, but then you're gonna copy their style, so you're actually giving them the highest form of flattery right there, and your argument is just mute.
Wisdom right there, people. Wisdom. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, okay, getting into the Rebellion card, and then we'll close it out with some Roman Reigns talking COVID-19, which, by the way, I'm going to say this right now. As far as the Rebellion card, there are some interesting matchups that we are going to get on that TV. First and foremost, we mentioned Tessa, Eddie, and Michael Elgin for the world title. One other thing, and here's why I kind of like continuity here, because I remember at Redemption in 2018, Taya Valkyrie's match on pay-per-view was against Kiera Hogan. That was, like, I believe, her first matchup on pay-per-view when she was a babyface. But now Kylie Ray, who we've seen on AEW television, we've seen in, I believe, Rise, we've seen do Shimmer, all those women's promotions, we've seen her do some work in Japan. Her first bout is against Kiera Hogan. Now, we saw the exchange with Susie, which, by the way, I love the whole Susie Sue Young going back and forth on the side note. But Kylie Ray and Kiera Hogan, what do you think of that being her debut matchup on pay-per-view? Well, the announced Special Rebellion. What do you think of that being her debut?
I like it. I like Kiera and I like Kylie. The outcome of it, not so sure. I really liked the last Kiera Hogan versus Sue Young match. It was pretty. It's to see Kiera come from the way she was when we first started seeing her in 2018, like because when we started watching Impact, and to now, it's a totally different persona. And I think it would be a good matchup. I think it's for her. And I think it's, you got two strong women that are there and two different personalities. You got Kylie, who is, the infectious smile type personality. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that out. Now,
what's interesting is, and I like Smiley Kylie Ray. I do. I like the infection. I like the bubbliness. That's also why I liked when Bayley was doing the hug. I like, what it is too? I remember as a kid when Christy Hemme, when she won the Diva Search, mind you, I was 12 at this time, Crystal. So I was thinking to myself, girl's too perky. Like, no, calm it down. Hit you with that decaf. You know what I'm saying? Hit you with that decaf. But, it's infectious. It's bubbly.
It is.
It's vibrancy, and I like it. And she's taking on the girl on fire. That is Kiera Hogan. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. I can't predict the winner either. We're not going to predict. We're just going to talk about the matches here because it's too soon. But, yeah, Kylie Ray and Kiera Hogan I'm down for. The other women's matchup we have now is the Full Metal Mayhem match for the Knockouts title, Jordynne Grace and Taya Valkyrie. We've seen their bouts in the past. Taya having a little bit of a meltdown since she lost the title, one of the longest reigning Impact Knockouts champs. So are you looking forward to some Full Metal Mayhem?
Poor boohoo to Taya. First of all, you can tell who I'm rooting on on that match. It's cry all you want, but it's not. I'm not going for her in the match.
Okay, so here's the thing about Taya Valkyrie. Like, every great protagonist has an antagonist, right? Every great face has the heel. Like, in the 80s, you remember, like, War to Settle the Score. There was Hulk Hogan on the babyface side, and then there's the great Roddy Piper on the heel side. God rest his soul. So everybody has to have that great dance partner. It takes two to tango to tell the story, and I think these two have great chemistry. Jordynne Grace doing her thing as the Knockouts champion. Saya, she's got the athleticism. Taya Valkyrie, same thing. Like I said, I loved her, Killer Cross, and Johnny Mundo at the time. And AAA, I loved her work in Lucha Underground. Like, she's just one that always stuck out and had that presence about her. Same with Jordynne Grace. So I think we are in for a treat. Speaking of another match we have that's going to be a treat, Impact X Division Championship on the line.
Can we just go back to the Jordynne Grace thing?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so the Jordynne Grace thing, like just with this whole thing, everything that's going on, I haven't seen Jordynne fight that much because, like I said, I don't go as much as what Tony does to the wrestling with Steven. But I do follow all their Twitters. I follow all the fights and that through Access and that and Impact Plus and everything like that. But what everyone has to realize is everyone's got lives outside of here, mm-hmm. And Steven has interacted with, Taya in the sense of, can I have an autograph? No. And he's interacted with Jordynne and spoken with her before and everything like that, total sweetheart to him. But what has made me become a bigger Jordynne fan actually has nothing to do with wrestling. But when I started at the beginning, when we're talking about how the whole COVID-19 thing is, and, you have these people that are saying, you are the Impact, right? Mm-hmm. There was a tweet that went out of her putting together flowers for, I believe it was for nursing homes, because the event had gotten canceled because of COVID-19. So it's stuff like that behind the scenes that you see that make you appreciate the wrestler as a person. So, when they step up into their community and they say, look, you have, here you go. I'm going to be here for you. Just like the wrestling community steps up and helps, Rich Swann is out right now with his ankle. Up here, there was a fundraiser for him, where they, OVE stepped up and gave some of their stuff to be auctioned off so the money can get to Rich. You know what I mean? To help them out. So it's just going back, we'll go into the other match, and I apologize for sidetracking, but that personally,
don't apologize.
That personally to me made Jordynne stand out in my mind a little bit more than the Taya. I understand heel and protagonist and all this sort of stuff, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, my first impression of Taya didn't reflect my impression now of her. So in the sense of one affects the other.
Of course. And I think with Jordynne Grace, like you mentioned, outside of wrestling, everybody has their lives. And I think everybody's grateful for their fans. And I love that. Like you mentioned in that tweet, I think just to see them outside of it. And I know in a world where, kayfabe is supposedly dead. And if you look at Twitter, MJF's Twitter is never ever kayfabe. It's always straight to the point. He's so blunt, which is why I love his character. But as far as Jordynne Grace goes, he's this powerhouse, this big ass girl who's just absolutely, I'm not going to lie, she's fine in a way. I mean, I got no problem with her. You know what I'm saying? From a male standpoint, you're talking to a guy that does a podcast called Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, for God's sake. I love women of all shapes and sizes, but I digress on that point. Physical appeal aside, I think just her overall, just the personality, I think that's very cool. I like seeing the lighter side of things and just helping people out because, you know, united, not divided, uncertain times. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I agree with you. I know I just ramble a little bit, but yeah, that's my thoughts. I'm in total agreement with you. So now we get to the X Division Championship, and do not apologize for making me sidetrack. I love sidetracking. I love shooting the breeze with you, so no apologies. Willie Mack and Ace Austin. Impact X Division Championship is on the line. Like you mentioned, Rich Swann, you know, getting taken out by Reno Scum, and we've seen the whole thing that's gone down with the interaction with Ace Austin. Willie Mack winning the #1 contenders match. I'm looking forward to seeing Willie Mack again. For someone his size, can move like a freight train, such agility and ability. Ace Austin, I'll be honest with you, he's the guy like he's kind of, you know what it is about Ace Austin. He plays his role so well with being a heel and just being that scumbag, as Don Callis likes to call him. What a scumbag, the whole nine there. Just looking at him with his gauges and his stupid purple hair, you just want to smack him. But that's the point, and I look forward to seeing what these two do for the X Division Championship. Go ahead, Crystal.
Yeah, no, I agree. I look forward to seeing what they're gonna do. I'm not an Ace Austin fan personally. I am, but I'm not. I will be going for Willie Mack for that for sure.
Back the Mac, Return of the Mac, Mark Morrison style. Yeah, the jam. Put it on in the background because it's Willie Mack. Chocolate Thunder. Yeah, had to say Chocolate Thunder. What else besides got the lightning? You got the thunder. Oh, I'm a dork. So we got the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, taking on Sami Callihan. Kind of like a new, darker approach for those that saw him in NXT as Solomon Crow. I'll be honest with you, that theme song was badass. I Feel the Fire Burning, mass appeal. You know, he's doing his thing. Then he left, and then he did some indies, and then he came in Impact as a part of OVE. Now he's got this. It's the ICU. It's really Solomon Crow, just with the volume turned up, as he likes to say. It's Solomon Crow, but done right. I like this whole hacker ICU thing. It adds a nice little element to the character, and Ken Shamrock being the veteran Hall of Famer. And they have some history. You know, Sammy facing Ken Shamrock in a match, and then Madman Fulton takes him out. Again, the continuity. Here we are. It all comes back together. Ken Shamrock and Sami Callihan. What are your thoughts on Sammy's character being elevated and the whole thing with him and Ken Shamrock going head-to-head?
I think that Sammy's character being elevated is amazing. We are a big Sammy family here. You know, from day one of Steven C, you know, the Mexican Death Match, Sammy, you know, held a very special spot for my son, who is a bit sadistic, apparently, according to Roman Reigns. He, you know, the bloodier the better. It's, you know, I'm hoping for that one, although I love Ken Shamrock and I understand Hall of Famer and everything, but like I said, I'm a little bit of a Sammy fan, so
I will say this.
I have to go with the character elevation and everything like that. I have to go with wanting Sammy to win that one.
I got to say this. If people have not seen the interview with Chris Van Vliet because they think Sami Callihan is this horrible, horrible person, you know, the Eddie Edwards thing from 2018, it gives you a new perspective if you watch the interview talking about his career and just online. The dude is actually a genuine good guy. I mean, from his team with the conspiracy theories and the conspiracy theorists, the whole nine that he did with John Moxley and CZW, and just the whole nine with what he's done in his career. Like I said, that dude is just a generally good dude at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? He's all about pro wrestling. He's very passionate. And I mean, like I said, he's just a good dude.
Oh, he is an all-around good dude. He is. He's awesome. He's he likes to play the heel, but yeah, doesn't wear that hat when he's out of the ring.
That's all right. I'll be honest with you. That's the thing, though. I mean, that's the thing about heels and baby faces. We have cool heels. We got cool baby faces. We got the white meat baby faces, as they're known. But at the end of the day, it's professional wrestling, and it evokes emotions, and it gets us going, and that's why we love it as fans, and that people that get to, you know, work and do podcasting with wrestlers and what have you, and I get to talk to great people like yourself. So at the end of the day, it's wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, that's a little bit of impact for you guys this week. So to close it out, I want to talk about this because you were talking about a switchblade conspiracy. That was bugging me too. See, that's the thing. I had to look up twice now because my memory sometimes is a bit shot. Epileptic here, people. This one reminds me about Chelsea Green, which again I remember, but I don't. I have to look at her entrance to visualize again. We got me going to social media tonight, refreshing my memory. You know what I'm saying, Crystal? So yes, exactly, spot on. Like I said, that's why I love you. That's why I love working with you. The chemistry, the dynamic, making me have to think. You know what I'm saying? My brain's dead weight. I'm trying to get my head straight. I don't know which Spice Girl I'm going to impregnate. Hi, my name is Eminem Slim Shady LP 99, baby. Last pop culture mention in the show. So
I love how you mentioned Spice Girl while you're talking to the original Spice Girl, but that's just besides the point.
Oh, God, we'll go back to the pop culture debate when we do that show. Jesus. So, anyway, we're going to talk about Roman. You want to talk about Roman Reigns and COVID-19. So one of the big stories was Roman Reigns pulled out of WrestleMania, rightfully so, because of what he's gone through and the whole shebang. I believe Miz was sick and he was pissed and the Usos were pissed, the whole situation that came out. And Braun Strowman went in, beat Bill Goldberg for the Universal Championship. No, okay. I get confused because they switch brands. WWE Championship. No, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Universal Championship. You see, now this is bad because they switched the damn brands and they changed shit around. Okay. Braun Strowman won the Universal Championship. He beat Bill Goldberg. Shut up. Thank you. I'm not telling you shut up, but I'm telling myself shut up. So anyway, Braun Strowman wins the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns out of the match. Rightfully so. So go ahead. Say your piece. I know you want to touch upon this, and I'll come back with it. But the floor is yours, Crystal.
I did want to say something. So basically, I don't know if anybody saw it and everything, but Roman is Liam's hero. He loves Roman. We met Roman. We've talked with him. Spent an hour and a half with him. So by no means are we friends, but he didn't hide his illness from anybody in the WWE or even the world for that matter. He didn't hide his illness from anybody. So for people to go and state, basically shame on him for pulling out. I'm a mom of an immunocompromised person, and as a mom of a wrestling fan and a wrestling fan myself, when I saw how upset Roman was from people, the amount people are talking smack about him pulling out, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, the wrestling belt is not going to hold up your ventilator. It is not going to give you a cure. It is a match, and there will be others. But if you go there and you have people like Brock Lesnar who told off Vince McMahon for, you're putting other people's lives at risk. And, you have all these wrestlers that are standing up and saying something. And The Miz, I believe he was injured. But it's a case that, you have all these wrestlers that have reasons for them not wanting to travel, whether it's a newborn baby at home or they have an immunocompromised system. You don't know what they're going through. They don't share their entire lives with you. So for people to go and say everything they said about Roman for pulling out and, he's a wuss and it's not that bad, I'm sorry. But when, you have a country that has now surpassed in deaths Italy's, you have a situation on your hand and you need to, put real, I can't remember who said it, but real life trumps everything. And he has to think of his family. You don't know whether he has family there that's immunocompromised besides himself that he doesn't want to talk about, his own health. You don't know what's going on. And for people to go and say what they said about him, I think it's disgusting in a community. And instead of separating and dividing, by you pulling out of this, you're, this is wrong of you. But then you look at the positive that, okay, yes, Roman pulled out for his health, but you have Braun, who's deserving of a championship as well, get a shot. And then you're like, well, Roman pulled out, but, okay. But then here you go and say, people are going saying, oh, let's hit on Roman for doing this. Okay, well, you're rightful in your opinion. However, keep it to yourself. Honestly, the first rule as parents you teach your children is if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And this man has, he's an entertainer, like I said earlier. He's not putting his life on the line for, he's not a first responder. He's not on the front lines like nurses and doctors are right now. He is there to entertain you, and his life is not worth that of a championship belt. It is worth way more than that. The amount of stuff that he does for people with leukemia and lymphoma and stuff like that, as well as everything else that is going on with everybody in the community, wrestling community as a whole. You know, some people, they don't have money coming in right now because wrestling is their life and all wrestling events have been canceled, and people are crying about them not having him fight it for a title. There's bigger problems. You know, as a wrestling community, instead of tearing people down right now, we should be building people up and saying, like, let's stand together. Hey, can I offer you a hand? Like, yes, you've helped me, you've shown me entertainment, everything like that. What do you need right now? Because what I've seen with a lot of the wrestlers that are up here is I've seen a lot of the wrestlers up here say, you know, this is really affecting my mental health. And I don't think people are putting that into perspective.
True. And I will say this. I remember, like you were talking about, I think he was even a parent to say, like, yo, like, in these times, like, we have to be kind to each other. United, not divided. There's a lot of people, and like you mentioned, it affects their mental health because, you know, you can't go outside, you can't work, you're pretty much, like, secluded, you're quarantined, and it's hard because people are losing money, and it's just, it's affecting professional wrestlers, it's affecting everybody in the country. And for people to go out and just say, oh, he's a coward for pulling out of WrestleMania, and I'm going to say this bluntly, fuck you. Because, hello, the man, like we talked about leukemia and everything, it's ridiculous. What you're doing is, your life and your health comes before a match. I mean, okay, he was fighting Goldberg. All right, but he fucking pulled out. So what? I don't blame the man. I've also read that he's going to be missing a few weeks of SmackDown. Right the fuck on, because you don't want to compromise your situation. There's a lot of people that don't want to compromise their situation with traveling or showing up to so they've made what they've had with WWE. They've used people like the NXT stars and people that are local in Florida for their shows, and right on for them, because that's a good way to move and go about it. And a lot of people don't have to go that far because everybody pretty much lives in Florida. So, I mean, it's just like they made the most of what they have. Braun Strowman filling in for Roman Reigns is fine because, Braun gets his spotlight. But at the end of the day, Roman's thinking about his health, and health comes first. To put it bluntly, health comes first, Crystal.
Health does come first, because if you think about it, if you ain't got your health, what have you got?
Amen to that. So, yes, people that are hating on Roman Reigns and hating on professional wrestlers who just want to back out and everything in the whole nine, I'm just going to say this, putting up the finger. You can't see me because we're on audio on Skype here, but I'm putting up a big middle finger to you. Here's to you, Stone Cold Steve Austin style, to Mikey Tyson back in 1998. You ruined it, damn it, Vince McMahon. It all comes full circle to professional wrestling people. So, with that being said, Crystal, I got to say, it's really always a pleasure talking to you. We're going to do some pop culture shows. We're going to do some interviews together. I'll get you back on the Heelcast. I love always talking to you. We covered a lot of ground, and I got to say thank you so much, first and foremost.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure and a nice chat.
It is. It always is a nice chat. Crystal Spice, people. I mean, the woman is the mom of Chiari Warrior Steven. You're a warrior. You're like we were talking about, independent woman. Throw your hands up at me. You're doing the damn thing, Crystal Spice. Oh, so nice. Putting a little rhyme to it. Yeah. True that. Guys, please, I mean, like, you're awesome, but please, during this time, United Not Divided, be kind to one another, support professional wrestling, support your local professional wrestling. There's a lot of content out there with AEW, Le Whole of the Os, Damascus, Matt Hardy on AEW. There's a lot of great content for everybody, from NXT, NXT UK, Raw, SmackDown, but NXT UK, NXT. There's a lot of stuff that's out there, professional wrestling. It may not be for you, it may not be for them, but support professional wrestling. And throughout these times, it's nice to have something to entertain you, put a smile on your face. Hell, watch Dark Side of the Ring. I just got caught up on Dark Side of the Ring. They have some good stuff with the Brawl for All. They have the Chris Benoit documentary, the New Jack one. They have the Jimmy Snuka one, which is coming out next week. Hell, before we even did this, Crystal, I watched Tiger King on Netflix. I went through all 7 episodes, and holy shit, is that a show, and is that a thing on Netflix? My God. So if you watch some Tiger King, watch some Netflix and chill, and just do something that's positively proactive and just makes you feel good through trying times, and just be creative and do what you do and love what you do and inspire and encourage others. So With that being said, Crystal Spice, my mouth is going to go shut, and I'm going to give you the platform for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Promote yourself. Promote Steven's wrestling journey on YouTube and Twitter and social medias. Let everybody know.
So Steven can be followed at Steven's Wrestling Journey on both Instagram. He's got his own Facebook page. He's got his own Twitter account. As well, he has a YouTube page, which you can search up SWJ, search up Turnbuckle Talk with Steven Spice, or you can look up Steven's Wrestling Journey on YouTube as well. He has a few interviews up there. He has a few more to go up, including like Daniel Garcia, Harry D, who is a ref with Impact, and as well as he's done WWE stuff in the past. And, you know, we have a lot more lined up once all this COVID stuff dies down. But yeah, give him a follow and a like. It would mean the world to him at Steven's Wrestling Journey on all the social media platforms.
You guys will be tagged on Twitter when this show comes out for Steven's Wrestling Journey. Follow Steven. He's the man. He's my boy. Roman Reigns, Casey Spinelli. There's a lot of great content on that YouTube channel that I think a lot of people will enjoy, and it'll put a smile on their face. You got a great son there, you do, Chris. Like I said, this is my dude. I love him to death. Same with Liam. I love all y'all to death. I mean, it's always a joy getting to have on the show, the Shizzo. So my last words are going to be stay safe, everybody. Be positively proactive. Just enjoy yourself. Be kind. United, not divided. I'm going to say the old stuff, but it's true. It's a lot of validity in my sentiments, and it's validity in general. Do you have any final words, Crystal?
Sorry?
Do you have any final words for the people, or would you like to echo my sentiments of stay safe and united?
You know what? Stay safe and be kind to everybody. This is a very scary time we got going on right now. And if you do know, if you do talk with wrestlers personally, just give them a little shout out. Say, you know what? Hey, I'm thinking of you. And, you know, just honestly respect each other. The sooner everybody does that, the sooner everything's going to be over. So.
Amen to that. People, support professional wrestling. Be kind to people. And I thank you guys for listening to the Heelcast. Enjoy the Heelcast. Check us out on Twitter, _Heelcast, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasting platforms, wherever you get your audio platforms for the Heelcast. I know we're on Castbox. We're on Stitcher. No, not Stitcher. YouTube, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasting platforms. I'm sure we're on Stitcher. There's so many damn audio platforms out there. I don't even know what we're on. We're over here. We're over there. We're everywhere. I'm a bit around the way girl. That's the one for me. LL Cool J. Taking it back. Throw back. I'm going to close it out. Crystal Spice. Mike Larkin. This includes another edition of the Heelcast. We are out. Talk to you next episode. Peace.